Okay, so now we're gonna make the accessories that go on the outside of the cake. And since you're already doing the fondant work, probably all in one day, it's better just to get it done and over with. So we're gonna do some grapes and some cheese, and then we need some vines and some leaves. Again, I just went and got the purple fondant and the yellow fondant. So much easier than trying to make a nice bright color. They come in really nice bright colors. So let's start with the grapes. I'm gonna take some of my purple fondant, and I've cleaned up my area and put some new fresh powdered sugar. So for the grapes, real easy. You just want to pinch off little pieces, and I would do different sizes because grapes come in all different sizes on a bunch, and you just roll it into a little round ball. Okay, so you can kind of tell how many you need. I usually do like a line of 5, and then you just start working them. Go to 4 and then go to 3, and it kind of gives you that grape shape. And then I start building on top of that. Now I'm not putting it together yet, I'm just seeing how many I need. So we just kind of start stacking it. Okay, I think that's probably good. You can always put it together and then kind of add to. So a couple things that are real easy to do. I use spaghetti noodles. I like my cakes to be absolutely completely edible. So not that everyone wants to eat dry spaghetti noodles with their cakes, but it helps with putting things together, and you can eat it. So one thing I do is break off a little bit of a spaghetti noodle, and you stick it in one of the grapes, and then that sticks into another grape, and that will kind of hold the grapes together. So actually, when you get to this part, I'm going to take my cake board. It's a lot easier if you do assemble it on the cake board because the grapes, they are hard to transfer. So before I get too far, so the cake is going to sit up on the top of the cake board. You want to make sure you bring the grapes down far enough that it's not going to hit the cake. So we're going to assemble them right on the cake board. And again, I'm going to use my noodles. Also, if you put a little bit of water in a cup and use a little paintbrush and you just put a tiny bit of water on the fondant, it also acts like a glue. So there we go. Again, you can just put a little bit of water if you feel like they're not staying real well, but once they stay for a couple days, they dry real nice. So then we're gonna move on to the cheese. That one's real easy. Not a lot to the cheese. You just want to do the shape that you like. I usually do kind of like a triangle. So again, put a little bit of powdered sugar on there. And I don't know about you, but I love cheese, so I just make a nice big wedge of cheese. So I just kind of start, and there you've got something that looks a little bit like cheese. Now I have little tools, little fondant tools that I use, but you can use your knuckle. So we're just gonna put little holes in it to make it look like Swiss cheese or any other type of cheese that has little holes in it. And I just kind of, but again, you can go ahead and use your knuckle too. And there, we have some cheese. I'm gonna put that right there. All right, one last thing to go with the grapes is we need vines. So you can buy green fondant. I like to make my own. I just use a little bit of the green moss and add it to white, and it makes kind of a nice vine color. You're gonna just pinch off a little piece and then roll it however long you want the vine, and then just kind of pinch it down a little bit. And then I usually use a skewer. You might want it a little bit, maybe not quite so thick. Totally up to you how you want your vine. And then we're going to wrap it around the skewer. And I put that on my styrofoam to dry. And then you need a leaf. So I have just a little leaf cutter. You can cut it out yourself, but sometimes having a little leaf cutter makes it a little easier. And we're gonna roll this one out a little bit flatter. You can make these a little thicker, however thick you like to use it. I'm gonna put my little leaf cutter in there. Pop them out. And then I take my knife on the dull side, and you can just do little impressions in it to make it look more like a leaf. The one last thing that you need to do for when you're doing your fondant is to make the label. So I brought back the wine bottle, and it's still drying. And we just want to make a nice kind of oval wine label. And that does need to dry, because when you write on it, if it's too soft, it just kind of bleeds. So do this the same day you do the wine bottle. And we're gonna roll that out. Again, you don't want them too thick and you don't want too thin, so about 1/8 of an inch probably. Well, that rolled out actually pretty perfect, but usually what I do is I have a little round cutter, and I just use that as a kind of a gauge. Now it's perfectly round, but I do like my labels to be kind of oblong, so I just take this and just roll it out up and down, and that makes it kind of an oblong shape. Just like that. And then you take your wine bottle, and be careful because it's still soft, and we're just gonna lay it about where we want it to be, so it'll take the shape of the wine bottle. There we go. And then we let that sit for about 3 to 4 days.